We begin this afternoon in Accomack County, another overnight arson. 2 more arsons this past weekend, bringing the total number of confirmed arsons to 46 now in Accomack County, bringing the total of intentionally set fires in Accomack County to 63 since mid-November.
Police say another fire last night makes for 65 intentionally set fires in the county since mid-November.
This is all that remains of this structure here in Parksley. Virginia State Police say while they have those leads, putting people in jail will require even more help from this community. Smoke rises on the latest Accomack County arson fire, and the level of frustration continues to rise as well. MC Fry of Melfa had this to say about the arsonist.
I got a couple of guns in the house, and I guarantee you, if I see that setting the fire, there's going to be some. I wouldn't kill him. I might try to shoot his legs off.
State Police spent the past weekend handing out over 6,000 flyers with the number for the tip line and information about the reward.
More than 11 companies from 2 counties responded to this overnight fire. The chief says crews along the eastern shore of Virginia are at their wits' end.
Our resources are completely tapped out. Our fuel cost is outrageous. We're going through a lot of equipment. The real toll is on the people. We're all volunteers.
First, let's check in with WBOC's Bill Mitch, who's been speaking with police this morning about what we now know is an arrest. Bill?
Guys, it was just 3 minutes ago when Virginia State Police came out and told us one of the 2 people they picked up at their last night's arson fire has been arrested and charges have been filed. Her name is Tanya Bundick. Tanya Bundick, 40 years old, from Parksley.
Tanya S. Bundick and Charles R. Smith III, who also goes by the alias of Charles Applegate, both of Parksley, were taken into custody for questioning this morning by state police.
These are pictures of Tanya Bundick and Charles Smith at a Halloween party from Bundick's Facebook page. The pictures were taken by Seth Matthews, who says Bundick wanted him to be their wedding photographer. The news of the arrest is still coming as quite a shock.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's almost like I think it's like a cloak over something, or, you know, like it's a conspiracy, because I really don't believe it.
Matthews says he has known Smith, also known as Applegate, since they were teenagers. Another man familiar with Smith is Warner Hargis, a lifetime member of the Tasley Volunteer Fire Department, where Smith used to be a member.
He was an engineer on one of the vehicles.
584 years in prison and over $5 million in fines. That's the maximum sentence Charles Smith faces today after pleading guilty inside Accomack County Court. After he was caught on Airport Road in Melfa, Charles Smith held nothing back from police.
You know, I knew this day was coming. I mean, that's why I ain't been happy in all these months, because I just knew. You all get caught? Yeah.
For hours, Smith went through each individual arson with police, detailing how he set each fire and how he managed to escape.
What do you used to see? No. I was in the fire company. They told us how to feel around in the dark.
And during those open and honest hours with police, Smith spoke about how it all began 1 year ago. He says it was Tanya Bundick's idea to set the first fire, and she was responsible for the first handful. Smith believes it was a release for Bundick, who was dealing with issues at home.
After she did that first one, it just seemed like some of her problems went away. Basically doing anything for her.
Including taking over the duty of setting the fires.
I started right after that one, because that's the one that they almost busted her on. Okay, so the fact that they just looked a little bit harder.
Was she there?
Oh yeah.
Laying in the woods?
Oh yeah.
You know, we looked for her because we had
y'all didn't look good.
Yes, record this. This is police brutality.
Police brutality.
This video shows 34-year-old Jeremy Anderson of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, being arrested by Rehoboth Beach police officers on April 7th. Police say he was acting disorderly at the Crosswinds Motel. At the start of the video, Anderson appears to put his hands behind his head when Corporal Robert Whitman fires a taser at him. He screams profanity as the arrest is made.
Take him home. He's my husband.
Man, he is under arrest right now.
Later, there's a struggle. Anderson is tased again, and Corporal Whitman is seen kicking his head against the concrete. The woman recording the video, who says she's Anderson's pregnant wife, identifies Whitman.
Robert Whitman, stop.
A very basic piece of classroom equipment has been transformed into a lifesaver. This is a bulletproof whiteboard developed by Hardwire in Pocomoke City. This video is from their indoor ballistic testing range. The idea was inspired by the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School to provide a level of defense for teachers, students, and administrators, and if necessary, used to charge toward a shooter.
We wanted to get it in their hands, something that was handheld and lightweight. And in fact, our whiteboards are actually lighter than a regular whiteboard. But in the event of an emergency, you have an intruder, or you have, God forbid, a shooter, you can go ahead and it becomes a personal piece of protective equipment for the teacher and for the students.
On the road, Smith says the girls asked her for her keys. When she refused, Smith says the girls took control of her car, yanked her out of the driver's seat, and robbed her of $800. They opened up the trunk and they pushed you inside. And you fell in.
Slammed it down.
And they slammed it down.
2, 1, mark. We have ignition. We have liftoff.
The Antares rocket lifting off, carrying the Cygnus cargo spacecraft. Inside that spacecraft, 1,300 pounds of food and supplies heading to the International Space Station. As we listened to Mission Control, everything went just as it should. It was a by-the-book launch, and that is exactly what Orbital Sciences, the NASA contractor, and all the folks at Wallops wanted to see.
Antares took off with Cygnus, the cargo spacecraft, and Cygnus had an in-orbit activation. For the next 4 days, Cygnus will be performing a series of tests and maneuvers to demonstrate that it's ready to meet up with the International Space Station.
And these are required by state law, and that the records of those are supposed to be kept on file. That's the wording of state law.
And in the case of Salisbury, they are kept on file, but with the vendor of the cameras, a company called Breckford. Salisbury police say the vendor keeping the records is not out of the ordinary.
Most of the agencies that I've talked to in this state, they all do it the same way. The information is maintained by the vendor and then given to the client as needed for court purposes.
And the documents only being provided for court purposes is exactly what Maryland law says they should be released for. But because of that, the Maryland Drivers Alliance has not been successful in obtaining them to do their own checks on the system.
We don't really feel that kind of answer, just trust us, you know, our equipment is accurate, trust us, our equipment's accurate, is good enough, because we've just seen so many cases where we haven't seen the type of diligence that we think ought to be there.
He said it looks like a murder scene.
That's the way Audrey Penny says a police officer described this bedroom. Smashed glass, a broken bed, blood everywhere. A deer jumped into it as the Pennies were getting ready for their day.
We heard this terrible, outlandish noise, crash in the glass. We heard the glass crash, and we had no idea what it was.
It's day 5, the last day of the recovery efforts in a deadly plane crash in Ocean City. Now a salvage crew is moving pieces of the plane that plunged into the waters along a busy Ocean City beach last week. And they are moving them one piece at a time.
Sheriff Mike Lewis says a complaint was filed with his office months ago about the incident when no tape was available. He says an administrative review was done at the time and the use of force was justified. We showed the sheriff the tape on our camera screen, and he says it is up to bounds to file a complaint.
I can tell you we never had the advantage of having a videotape in this particular case. And there's nothing that stands out that alarms me based on the 2-inch by 3-inch screen I saw on your camera. I will gladly review it on a larger screen if an official complaint is made by an individual in this case. But they've never made a complaint with my office. At least the suspect never made a complaint.
The sheriff says he encourages Bounds to make a complaint if he and his lawyer are convinced excessive force was used.
The family geared up as best they could before Katie went into labor on Halloween, nearly 2 months before her due date. Lexi came first at just 2 pounds, 6 ounces. Then Allison, Daniel, and William. 4 weeks later, all of them were out of the hospital, adjusting to their new lives here at home.
Having one baby is challenging enough. Multiply that 1 by 2, 3, 4. And that's 4 times the diapers, 4 times the bottles of formula, 4 times the sleepless nights.
This was Robinson Neck Road on Taylor's Island 1 month ago. Everywhere you looked, there were pigs. Today, though, they aren't here. While there is some evidence of them, not one of Janet Sidnor's pigs are crossing the road. Now, back towards the end of July, the Maryland Department of Agriculture asked, not demanded, that Sidnor build a pen. They say that in that month she has built the pen, and as you can see, the road is now clear of pigs.
Steve, today Ocean City Police said that John Sterner entered the church on fire, and the fire on him quickly spread through the building. And police also said they believe that an accelerant was used to start this fire. Well, in the footage that we obtained, it shows Sterner buying the gas just blocks away and minutes before he made it to St. Paul's. You can see here in the upper left-hand side of your screen, John Sterner, identified by the man who gave WBOC this footage. The man says he has known Sterner for many years. Sterner walks through the pump area and heads into the gas station. According to the man who supplied the footage, Sterner has visited here many times. A few moments later, a man holds the door open for Sterner, who comes out with a gas can in hand. Sterner heads to the pump, sets the can down, and begins to fill it up. After he finishes filling the can, Sterner picks it up and walks into the gas station with the can. He emerges a few moments later and walks casually through the lot in the direction of St. Paul's by the Sea Episcopal Church. The church is only a few blocks away, and the death walk began. Minutes later, the church on fire. Police say Sterner set himself on fire, entered the church, and caused this scene. The fire killed Sterner and Reverend David Dingwall.
Despite losing her husband in the fire, Mrs. Dingwall holds no anger towards Mr. Sterner.
He was a man who was in great pain. You have to be in a whole lot of pain to set yourself on fire. I mean, that's not an easy way to go. And so how can I be angry at somebody who was in that much pain?
WBOC's Kent County Bureau Chief Mike Chesney live above the festival in Chopper 16. Mike, traffic nightmares all day in the area. It's obvious that Firefly has grown a lot from last year.
And festival officials say that they're going to have a more exact number come Sunday evening, but it looks like for now that attendance has doubled from where it was in 2012. And take a live look now over all of those people. That is the lawn stage at Firefly. They're all enjoying the music, and as you might imagine, all these people are having a major economic impact on Dover and Kent County.
They first flew into BWI Airport, then to Talbot County, and now the 75 members of the Maryland National Guard 115th Military Police Battalion are coming home to Salisbury. That's also why you see a lot of those police escorts, because I want to say a few members of those troops on those buses are from those law enforcement. And these troops have been in Afghanistan for the last 10 months.
Anticipation is growing, and we can hear the chopper overhead. So when these doors open, we'll be ready. So I'm going to send it back to you, Steve.
All right, Bill, thank you. You know, we're getting some pictures right now of these reunions as the men and women from the Maryland National Guard.
Alice, some of the people that I spoke with today down in Fenwick Island have a direct message for the federal government. Leave our beaches alone. They say that their beaches are wide enough, they say that their dunes are high enough, and that they don't need further protection with help from the federal government. Let's show you exactly what we're talking about here with a live look here from Chopper 16. Right now, we are over the beach at the end of South Carolina Avenue, where the Army Corps of Engineers say they're going to be dropping off their first replenishment piping this Wednesday. Now, a popular opinion in Fenwick is that these beaches are in much better shape than some of the other beaches in Sussex County, particularly Dewey Beach and Bethany Beach, and that they don't need the federal government to step in at this time and protect them from future storms.
In more basic terms, it's practice for the Navy pilots who will be landing on aircraft carriers that are out at sea. Taking a look from Chopper 16 down at the Wilds Flight Facility, one of the runways has been outfitted to Navy specifications for these planes to successfully practice their landing.
Now what you want to do is take it slow here. The saying is turn around, don't drown. We've got cars right here in pretty high water, and you got to be really careful. In fact, the weather's been so bad in some parts of Delaware, Chopper 16 hasn't been able to fly there.
Crews have been cleaning up the scene. We are told now that Route 50 is going to remain closed until at least 6 o'clock tonight.
And here's some video actually shot by Chopper 16 earlier this afternoon. You can see crews spraying down the tanker because, as Steve mentioned, this is a hazmat situation.
Worker was literally being raised up from that catwalk about 15 feet. You can see the ladder truck involved, a high-angle response rescue team involved in this as well. Wetting down the hot spots. The flames have been knocked down, but you can see the roof of that home is gone. Again, this is at the intersection of Pine Street and McCallum Street in Princess Anne.
Crash happened around 4 p.m. According to the Queen Anne's Sheriff's Office, 4 people are dead and 1 injured in a 2-car crash in Kent Island. As you can see, the emergency crews are still on the scene right now.
The town of Fenwick Island in Sussex County is one of Delaware's quiet resorts. It was named for an English planter named Tom Fenwick, who purchased the land in 1692. Seasonal fishermen and pirates were the only visitors for the next 50 years. In 1818, the city was first incorporated as Lewes, named after the town of Lewes in East Sussex in England. A natural protected harbor created a nautical heritage that shaped the city's culture. The waterfront now holds the Cape May Lewes Ferry Terminal and some very popular beaches.
He followed his father's footsteps and joined at the age of 19. He served in the Navy under 3 presidents and fought legendary battles during the Barbary Wars of North Africa, the Quasi-War with France, and the War of 1812 with Britain. Wise would be elected the 33rd governor of Virginia in 1856 and would become an integral part of Virginia seceding from the Union. As a member of the Confederate Army, he served many roles, including being at Appomattox, urging General Lee to surrender.
These trucks are not here for snow. They're actually here to block the road off. So you can see the wind is kind of crazy out here. But again, the Route 1 is blocked off from here to the other side over in Bethany Beach. So you can't get through here. But again, it's rainy, it's windy, the conditions. And also we're told by DelDOT that there was some water. I just lost my hat.
If you take a look behind me, you can see the sheer force of this storm has snapped a power pole. That's what's knocked out power to so many businesses along Route 1.
They're kind of, you know, there you go.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. So up, and we're back.
The phone has been ringing off the hook, as you can kind of hear in the background. Take a look at our panel of experts here. We have people from Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia answering your questions, and we've certainly had a lot of questions. I'm going to first talk to Sarah Davis, who is a representative from Delaware. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
You've had some questions about pre-existing health concerns.
Yes, starting now, if you have a pre-existing health condition, you are not going to be charged extra or turned away from health insurance.
More than 70 arson fires.
Station 4 and 6, residential structure fire.
A crime spree that's draining volunteer firefighters.
We all have jobs, we all have families, we all have lives.
Lives disrupted by a villain who's rattling nerves in Accomack County.
It seems like every evening that's the only thing you can think about, really.
The fire starter has terrorized Virginia's eastern shore since November.
I can't say a whole lot about it. He's insane.
And with no end in sight, this community is losing sleep and their peace of mind. Now, a special edition of WBOC News, the Accomack County arsons.
Gambling on the East Coast started in 1978 with Atlantic City. Dreams came true or were shattered. Casinos hit the jackpot or went belly up at this new Las Vegas of the East. In our region, if you wanted a weekend or a night of gambling, AC was the only place for nearly 20 years. It was in 1995 that Delaware wanted a piece of the action.
Viability or question of it in the casino industry in Delaware is spinning around the roulette wheel. Nobody quite sure where it will land. The answer starts and ends with money, which is where our Kent County Bureau Chief Mike Chesney picks things up.
More than $600 million. That's how much the slot machines at Delaware's casinos brought in at the peak of their performance back in the mid-2000s. Now, since then, the numbers have dropped a little, to say the least. And it makes Delaware's budget one of the most gambling reliant in the nation. That worries a number of lawmakers.
So is there room for one more casino in Sussex County? Absolutely, if you ask developer Gene Langford.
The casinos had been pushing for help for a while. House Majority Leader Val Longhurst says the legislature wasn't ready to make a huge change.
Even if commission members do agree there's a problem, they still have to agree on a solution to propose, and that could be tricky.
Because it's so new, it's unclear how much revenue online gaming will generate, especially because, due to federal law, gaming can only happen from computers inside the state.
They were stars on the field and stars in the classroom. Their hard work, leadership, and dedication made them stand out and pushed them to thrive on a bigger stage. Tonight, we trace the path to success for former WBOC Mount Air Farm Scholar athletes and celebrate where they are now.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special edition of WBOC News. I'm Paul Butler.
And I'm Scott Abraham. Kirsty was able to get far enough away from mom and dad where she would be in control of her own journey at College Park.
When Webster updates its newest dictionary, they might want to use Tristan Burris's picture beside the word driven.
These young ladies are competitive on the field and in the classroom.
And now, a special presentation by WBOC, a Delmarvelous Christmas.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us at the Winterfest of Lights in Ocean City. I'm Alice Davis.
And I'm Paul Butler, and we're going to take you all around Delmarva for some heartwarming stories. One of the best things about Christmas for a lot of folks are the decorations we place in our homes, on our streets, and in our towns.
And this man, one of Santa's many helpers, is in the business of making those dreams come true.
My wife says stop wearing red, but I can't.
We're taking a ride in Shopper 16 for a Santa's eye view of some of the peninsula's most festive displays.
A police car chasing after Santa in a fire truck. Hopefully they'll give jolly old St. Nick a break.
Bike Week is a time when folks from all over see the beauty of the Delmarva Peninsula, and we get to see some really interesting rides. But the shore is no stranger to interesting rides. The famous duck train was running this weekend, probably the best gas mileage on two wheels. Duck train was just part of the celebration of the venerable Woodland Ferry, an annual event called the Woodland Ferry Festival. If you listen for a moment, you can hear the rarest sound on earth, the sound of silence. You hear it? Silence is not the absence of sound. This is the absence of sound. Silence is the sound the world makes when you find a place to hide from it. A place like Bivalve Harbor on the Nanticoke River at 5:45 in the afternoon in January.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Celebration Tuesday, as we're calling it. I'm Steve Hammond.
And I'm Scott Abraham. It is a big day. Today, Ravens fans are ready to celebrate their team's victory and welcoming home the Vince Lombardi Trophy and taking a live look. Chopper 16 high above City Hall in Baltimore.
Ladies and gentlemen, the owner of the Ravens, Steve Bisciotti.
And of course, every eye in Baltimore today was glued to the man of the hour, Ray Lewis, as he said his final goodbye to the Ravens fans.
Since '96, I've been following his career. I mean, I'm 27 now, so it's pretty much my whole lifetime.
Delmarva was well represented today as Ravens fans flocked to Baltimore to celebrate their world championship.
While Alex was undergoing rounds of chemotherapy, his Salisbury teammates won the 2011 national championship.
That final buzzer rang, and
we just knew we won. It was great to just lift him up on our shoulders and know that we won that for him.
I can't describe how it felt to be lifted up by my teammates. It's kind of one of the reasons why I was able to survive this whole thing, you know.
July 22nd, 2011, Alex's health took a turn for the worst.
My pancreas ruptured and let out all those enzymes in my stomach, so my body just started to shut down, and that was really when the doctors thought that I probably wasn't going to make it.
Well, good Friday evening and welcome to Delmarva Live from Ocean City, the special Sunfest edition 2013. I'm Jimmy Hopper.
I'm Lisa Bryant.
And I'm Brian Spyros. Over the next hour, we're going to show you all things Sunfest, from the history of how it got started to what the festival was originally called and why this festival gets national attention.
Plus, you can't come to Ocean City without visiting the famous boardwalk. We take a walk down memory lane from the time where there was just surf and sand to what it is today.
And you can't come to the beach without sampling a little bit of this and a little bit of that, like the world famous Thrasher's fries and, oh yeah, the taffy. I get to go behind the scenes to see what goes into that delicious beach treat.
But wait, there's more. We're going to visit Harrison's Harbor Watch restaurant and raw bar, and get this, they're going to share with you their to-die-for, made-to-order every-time oyster stew.
And once your bellies are good and full, you'll want to look to the sky for a spectacular display of sea life and more at the Sunfest Kite Festival.
Plus, there are hay rides, bouncy houses, pirate cruises, and so much more, including a look back in history at this life-saving station that was saved just in the nick of time, and what historic artifacts are now housed inside.
Everything you've ever wanted to know about Ocean City Sunfest is moments away.
Delmarva Live starts right now.
While some of us don't want to believe it, the summer season has come to a close. But there's still fun to be had along the shore, especially in Ocean City.
I've always said there is life after Labor Day.
Donna Abbott is the tourism director for Ocean City. She says the town embraces the arrival of the fall season. They've been doing so for 39 years, and they call it Sunfest.
Sunfest gave me the opportunity to actually bring my wheel here and actually demonstrate how I actually make the pieces on the wheel. Not the entire process, just the actual throwing of it. It takes about 3 weeks to actually finish the entire process.
Which is still pretty impressive to see. And you've actually been doing this since you were 12 years old.
That's right. I started when I was 12 at another pottery, just sweeping the floors, cutting up clay, just an apprenticeship.
And now here you are at Sunfest having fun, showing all of your pieces of work.
It's a wonderful show and I couldn't be happier.
With only a handful of lines out, the first fish is on.
There he is. Who's up first? Fish on.
James Summers of Parsonsburg drew the low card, and he's ready to crank.
Did it take long? No. That's a good thing.
And when trolling with a lot of rods, it can be a delicate dance to keep them all in order.
This needs to go across the long line. Grab the long line. All right, that goes across. Yeah, I was trying to get it up in the rod holder, and he snatched it. You never know when they're going to hit it. You always got to be prepared.
You can finally see the leader and the fish. Then the first catch of the day is netted and brought aboard.
I got it, Larry. First one of the year. Good fish. We started fishing, now we're catching.
And catching is what we would be doing.
Get him. Whoever's next, who's next? Fish on, fish on, fish on. Right down, right down.
The WBOC weather app for your Apple and Android devices is here. Your 10-day forecast, live radar, severe weather alerts, and more. It's free in your app store. Just search WBOC WX, the WBOC weather app. It's weather coverage at your fingertips. When ominous clouds threaten or lightning strikes, when floodwaters rise and property is damaged by the elements, rely on the WBOC Storm Tracker team. On TV, on your computer or smartphone. And now, follow the WBOC 16 weather page on Facebook. Local forecasts, severe weather updates, and more from the team you trust. WBOC Delmarva's weather leader.
WBOC News. We cover Delmarva.
Thanks for joining us from the Newsplex in Salisbury.
In the Kent County Bureau.
Reporting from the Sussex County Bureau.
On the streets of your town.
From the air in Chopper 16.
And the places that you call home.
The news that matters to you.
Morning, noon, and night. Between the ocean and the Chesapeake.
From the Bay Bridge to the tunnel, we've got you covered.
WBOC, Delmarva's news leader.
Delmarva Life, life at its best here on Delmarva.
Look at this sexual chemistry.
How come I didn't get one?
Brian Spiros, come on down!
Delmarva Life, weekdays at 5 on WBOC. It's family fun at the 80th Annual Dover Days. Stop by the WBOC booth Saturday, May 4th. Spin for a chance to win prizes, and maybe you could be in our next commercial. Celebrate the history of the first state's capital city. See you at Dover Days.
We know that your pet is a part of your family, and when a pet goes missing, it's like losing a loved one. That's why we created Pet Connect. It's a free service to help reunite pets with loved ones and help adoptable pets find a new home. Log on to delmarvalife.com and click on the classified section. Find your lost pet with Pet Connect.
Well, everyone, we are in the final stretch here with the Bless Our Children campaign with just about 2 weeks to go until Christmas. And for many children here on Delmarva, without your help, they won't have a single present to open on Christmas morning. These children are depending on us, and we can't let them down. Will you please open your heart this holiday season and donate to the Bless Our Children campaign? Thanks so much to all of you who've already helped out, including Charlotte Givens of Bethel, thank you so much for your contribution. Also, thank you to Jeff Wooten of Greenwood for your contribution.
Now, I'm very happy to report this number. Check this out, folks. This is a record $228,183 that you, Delmarva, helped us raise so that we can make it a very Merry Christmas tomorrow morning for kids here on Delmarva.
You will usually find this bird near large bodies of water and around old growth trees for nesting. The male and female birds, once reaching maturity, tend to be indistinguishable. One way you can tell them apart is size. The female is on average 25% bigger. You don't think about the science though, you see the simple fluffiness of the cumulus cloud. The National Park Services manages the Maryland side, where the Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Company maintains the Virginia side. Remember though, if you do come to see the animals, do not go near them or attempt to feed them. Thanks to an abundance of chlorophyll, leaves display a radiant green color all summer long. As we lose daytime light, the amount of chlorophyll being produced is less than the amount being consumed by the leaf.